Hi and welcome to this YouTube video. In this video, we're going to talk about for loops. So in the last video, if you had watched it, we talked about while loops and how we could apply them. So on the screen right now, I have a very simple while loop. Now what this while loop does is that we have I initialized at the top and it is set to a value of 10. And then the condition for the while loop is that while I is greater than 0, we want to print the value of I, then decrements the value of I. So it's just going to print from 10 down to 1. So right now, it has printed out to the terminal from 10 to 1. So we did this using a while loop. Now let's now see how we will do the exact same thing using a for loop. So I'm going to write the for loop first. Then I'm going to explain the structure and exactly what it is doing. I'm going to first say write the code for. Now create the parentheses, then I'll put my curly brackets. So it is inside the parentheses where we're going to write the condition that we want to check or that we want to run. I'm going to say for int I is equals to 10, and I'll put a semicolon. I'll say while I is greater than 0, then I'm going to say I minus minus. So what do I want to do? I want to print the value of I. So what okay, so this is in I. So what we've done here is that we've written a for loop that's going to print value of 10 to 1. So let me explain the structure of a for loop. Now, in the structure of a for loop inside the parentheses, it is usually broken down into 3 parts. The first part is usually the initialization. So for example, here now we said for int I is equals to 10. So we initialize that, okay, I is set to a value of 10. Then the next part is usually the condition that we are trying to check. So the condition right here is I greater than 10, greater than 0, I mean. And the last section is usually the decrement or the increment. So right now, we are now decrementing the value of I. So to further explain it, when we started the for loop, we said, okay, let's set the value of I to 10, then we put a semicolon. Then we want to say, we want to run this for loop while I is greater than 0. So I'm saying while, but it's not really referencing the while loop. It's just a way of explaining it. So we have that I is equals to 10. And while I is greater than 0, we want to decrement the value of I. So once we run this now, it should also print out value of 10 to 1. So you can see that it also prints value of 10 to 1. So we just initialize that, okay, I is equals to 10. And then we want to say while I is greater than 0, I minus minus. So this condition is, this for loop is always going to run while the condition that we specified true. So the code block inside the for loop, I mean, is always going to run while the condition that was specified in the for loop true. So that is basically what for loop is. Now, for loops are quite powerful because we could also use it to iterate over something. So I'm going to bring in an array, for example, which I have here. So I'm going to replace this commented out code with the actual array. So let's say, for example, we want to print out all the values of this array. So what we can do is we know that each value in the array has a specific index. And usually the arrays are in items in an array have specific indexes. And the starting index is usually 0. And it goes to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we would like to print 3 out, it's going to be at int 3. So now, let me show you exactly how this is going to work. So there are how many items in the list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 8 items in the list. So we're going to write a new for loop to print out all the items in this array. So I'm going to say for int I is equals to 0, I less than 8, then I'm going to say I plus plus. So let me explain what this is right now. So we said for int I is equals to 0. Then so we're going to start from the 0th index, which is going to be this first item right here, which is this item right here. And then we want to do this, we want to loop run this condition 8 times. So it's going to start from 0 and it's going to stop at 7. So it's going to run 8 times, and then for each time we increment, for each time we run the loop, we want to increment the value of. So now that we're looping through from 0 to 7, what we now want to do is we want to print f. We're going to print f, and in here I'm going to say it's nd because we're going to print out an integer, and then I'm going to say numbers of I. So by saying numbers of I, we are trying to access the specific index of that item using value of I. So using this for loop, we should be able to print out all the values inside this I. I'm just going to put a \n here, and once I run this code, it should give us the values of I. So it prints from 0 to 7. Now this could be different characters like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 45. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So once I clear my terminal and also run this, it should print out those values. So it prints 3, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 45. So that is how we can use a for loop to loop through an array. Now this is very helpful because let's say we are tasked to do something concerning arrays or something else. We could definitely use a for loop to loop through all the items in the array, print it out. So if you have any question in the concerning this video, please leave a question in the comment section and I am going to reply you. So to just briefly go over it again, we have an array of numbers of integer values, and then we have a for loop that loops from the 0th index to the 7th index, because we said for int I is equals to 0 while I is less than 8, I plus plus. So it's going to loop from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then using the value of I, we are going to grab the whatever value belongs to this specific I index in the numbers array. So when I is 0, it's going to come to the array and grab 3 and print it out. When I is 1, it's going to come, grab 3, print it out. When I is 2, it's going to go grab 5, because we're passing in 2 here. It's going to be like we're passing in 2 into the array. It's going to grab 5. So that is how this section works. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section. I will reply you. Thank you.